have two stories, one from years ago during junior high, and one that just happened during my 3rd year of college. When I was in grade 8, I would always walk to school. To preference this, I am a female and have always had a small frame. From my house to the school was about 3 blocks, and to this point I had never had a problem. It was a crisp autumn morning and the sun was still trying to peek over the houses. The sound of crunching leaves under my feet was even louder due to how quiet the world was at 8 in the morning. There'd be occasionally cars passing or other kids walking, but for the most part, quiet. As I met the halfway mark of my walk, I started to get the feeling I was being watched, so I picked up my pace and took out one of my headphones. When I took off my headphones, I heard leaves crunching from behind me. It wasn't that loud, but I could tell whoever it was further back, but I chose not to look, thinking it might be someone walking to school too. I turned down my music and kept going. The footsteps kept getting louder, as if whoever was picking up their pace. In that moment, something in me told me to turn around and look. When I looked, there was a tall, lengthy man with his hood up, hands in his pockets, and had the most unalive-looking eyes. He stopped when I turned to look at him and just stared at me. It felt like forever that we looked at each other, and his blank stare turned more sinister as his mouth formed into a smile and started to speed walk towards me. I started to run since I was only a minute or 2 away from my school. He started to run as well. I could feel and hear my heartbeat as I ran for what I thought was for my life. I eventually made it to my school and ran right inside and burst into the office screaming, "Help! Lock the doors! Lock the doors! Lock the doors! He's coming! Please!" The poor women behind the desk stood there in shock as the principal ran towards the doors. The school was then put into lockdown for an hour or so, but I'm not sure how long because I was unable to calm down and was scared he had already gotten in. The police eventually came and took a statement from me and waited with me until my mom came to get me. A week later, we were informed the man was caught on the security cameras, but the police couldn't identify who he was because they couldn't see his face. They did tell me that in the video, the man was holding a knife, and when I ran into the school, he stood there for a minute, then walked off. He is still out there somewhere, and I really hope I never see him again. My second story happened my 2nd week back at college. This was my first year living in the dorms. I had never lived anywhere else besides my parents' house, so I was excited but a little nervous. My roommate was really nice. We'll call her Tina, and she had been living in the dorms for 2 years, so it made me feel a little better. That night, Tina asked me, "Do you believe in ghosts and stuff like that?" I told her I believe there could be such things as ghosts, but I tried not to think about it. She went on to tell me how the dorms were haunted by what they called the red-eyed man. She said he was a figure that had a hat on and red eyes that would walk the halls at night and would occasionally be seen in some of the rooms. He would occasionally turn the lights off and turn the sinks and showers on. People have also heard screams that aren't explainable during the night. I personally didn't believe it when she told me, but that was until I saw the red-eyed man. It has been about 2 months since she told me about him. One evening, I was coming back from a night class and decided I'd do my homework when I got back so I didn't have to worry about it the next day. My roommate was out that night, so it would be quiet, easy for me to focus. When I opened my dorm door, I had a weird feeling but thought nothing of it and started to work on my paper for my earth science class. The quiet was drowning, but nice when all of a sudden the sound of water turning on caught me off guard. I got up and made my way to the bathroom, where I saw the shower had been turned on. Since I was the only one in the dorm, I was speechless and couldn't explain it. I turned it off and made my way back to my desk. I couldn't focus, so I decided to sleep. That night, I experienced the worst sleep paralysis of my life, where I came face to face with the red-eyed man. He just stood there in the corner, watching, but I felt like I was going to die. The energy was awful while he was there. I didn't see him again, but I would hear the unexplainable screams once in a while, and the sink would turn on occasionally. I'm glad this is my last year in college, and I'll get to say my goodbye to the red-eyed man soon. I'm 99.99% sure my primary school was haunted. It was built in 1826, and because it was so old, lots has happened. There was a story that the school bell, which was on the top of the hall, fell and killed a kid. There was another when a ceiling collapsed, killing 25 people. I used to do music lessons, and the music lessons took place in what everybody called the haunted house. Everybody, even teachers, believed it was haunted. I was in there for my lesson. Me and my teacher were the only ones in there, as we were the last lesson of the day. We were just talking, no music, sat down. I had come to the end of my sentence, and he was writing stuff down for me to remember. Silence. You could hear a pin drop. What broke the silence, however, was the heavy footsteps coming from the floor above us. The footsteps were just going backwards and forwards in a line for 15 seconds, then faded. I looked over at my teacher. He had obviously heard it too. We just ran out of the building. I had almost forgotten about it until my friend, who also took lessons in there a few days later, ran out, sat next to me, and looked like she was going to faint. She told me she swore she saw a chalky handprint on the wall, after seeing a man in the suit stood at the top of the stairs. She didn't believe in anything to do with the paranormal until this. What makes this more real for me is the fact I have seen ghosts from a young age, and I have always believed in ghosts. To this day, however, I still wonder what happened in that building. About 10 plus years ago, my class went on a field trip for a week. We were all around 10 to 11 years old. It's like a bonding trip for the class, and we do activities such as football, making bread, making mozzarella, and playing games. Nearing the end of our trip, it was our last night there, and we were playing football on the field. Me and some of my friends went off to the bathroom to chill a bit and take a leak. It was late in the evening, so everything was almost dark, still a bit of sunlight in the horizon, and the moment we set foot in the bathroom, something felt off. We all felt it, but nobody wanted to bring it up. We looked out the second-story window from the bathroom, and we couldn't see our class anymore. None of our teachers, and it was a group of 30 to 50 people that just vanished. We were shitting ourselves thinking, what the heck is going on? My heart was racing. We were panicking and thinking, what the heck are we going to do? Eventually, we ran through the dark hallways back out to the field and the surrounding areas and woods looking for them, but nobody was there. Everything felt off, and we could all feel it in our guts. There is absolute silence. Granted, this wasn't near the city and more in the countrysides, but this was perfect silence. No birds, no crickets, just absolute silence. And as we look around, I see a strange squiggly line of fire or light up in the sky above the horizon, as if it was on fire and some weird shard-shaped object was making the line behind it. I immediately asked my friends if they were seeing this too, and none of us said a word. We were all just watching it. The sun was setting, but you could clearly see the sunset clouds were completely different from the line behind the sharp-looking object. There were also barely any clouds to begin with. They were all around the sun in the west. The shard or line was perfectly placed in the south. We are just watching it in awe, thinking what the heck is going on, until we see the object speed up and the fiery line behind it grow larger and larger until the shard leaves a giant flash in the sky. But it's a strange sparkly iridescent shade or color, but it isn't a color I had ever seen before. I can't explain it. Anyway, everything felt normal again. As soon as the flash happened and the object went away, we could hear our classmates and teachers making noise from playing their football game in the distance. The crickets and birds also returned. We ran to them as fast as we could and asked our teacher where they were. She said, "What do you mean? We never left after I gave you guys the permission to use the washroom." We kept saying, No, you were all gone." She just said we have an overreactive imagination and dismissed it. We asked if she or any of our other classmates had seen anything strange in the sky, and they said we were just playing football, no time to look up at the sky. Till this day, over 10 years later, none of us have forgotten it, and stand by what we saw. I'm 17 female, stayed at school's hotel most of the time because my home is kind of far away from the school. I had fun almost every day except when I'm struggling for exams. I can say that I am a friendly person and I greet almost everybody I know at school. Every Friday night, me and my best friend would go down to the so-called lobby at our hotel. We usually go there to eat instant ramen or noodles. Sounds lame, I know. We got no good food at the cafeteria. They serve a bunch of hard fish and this weird vegetable soup. Even if we get good ones, they're super rare. So throughout the time, we learn to be grateful that we get to eat. So, as I was saying, we would go down and eat some food while we do this thing called girl talk. If you know, you know. If you don't, pretend to. It was about 2 a.m. I think we still have this conversation about school gossip going around. As I was about to say something, I heard a pebble hit the zinc roof beside us. We stopped talking for a moment, then another pebble stopped us again. We tried to ignore it, but the third one makes us curious. Who the hell is awake at 2 a.m. and interrupts us having a good conversation? So me, the brave one, looked over to the bush and my heart skipped a beat, seeing a man's figure at the hotel gate entrance. He was standing and had no expression. I squinted my eyes to see who it is, and y'all, it was my warden. But that's not the end. We tried to talk to him why we were still in the lobby at this hour, but he stayed silent and just stared at us with a blank expression, as if he didn't hear our voices. Me and my friend started to feel goosebumps, and we quickly grabbed all of the containers, threw the trash away, and ran upstairs. Somehow, I still think that's not my warden, or he could just be trying to scare us at this hour. So that's one of my kind of scary encounters. I hope you have fun reading this story. Hello, and thank you so much if you made it to the end of the video. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to let me know you'd like to see more content like this. If you have any stories you'd like to share that could be in a future video, make sure to head over to Reddit, or you can send it through email. My Reddit and email will be shown on the screen. Thank you so much for watching and have a good morning, evening, or night. Bye guys!